Welcome back to another video tonight, and we are looking at SBE stock, Switchback Energy Acquisitions stock, or in the future, Chargepoint stock, as the merger is apparently going to go through soon into the future. So what's this going to mean for the stock in the next 14 days? What does it mean? And this is all basically going to be updating you on that. So first thing to note is, of course, this is just my opinion, based on the news and facts which we are seeing around the company, around the merger, and around a lot of information which you should know. So first things first, we're going to be looking at what's happened in the past, then we're going to be looking at what's happening now, then we're going to be looking at what's going to happen in the future to basically determine where the stock might go in the next few weeks and even months. Now, of course, if anything does change in the next 14 days, I will be the first one to update you on that. And of course, if you have any news to come and tell me, come and do so on Discord. The link is in the description. We now have Discord to talk about stocks, and there are quite a few members in there. It's completely free to sign up, so if you want to join in, link is in the description. And one last thing is, if you could subscribe, we're trying to get to 1,000, so if you could just do that, it would be massively appreciated. Just press the little red button and leave a like on the video if you find it informative. Alright, so let's start off by looking at the past. So today we actually have seen a sell-off in SBE stock, starting the day on 16.31, ending the day on 15.17, representing a minus 4% loss on the stock. So on the 1 week, we are actually also in the red, surprisingly, starting off the week on 15.79, finishing the week on 15.17, so only a few cents lost, but when you see the highs were around 17.35, we actually have been down quite a lot from the highs. So from the highs, we're looking at a 12% loss, maybe even a little bit more, but you can see just over a 12% loss there on the 5-day highs. Looking out to 1 month though, we are still in the green. So we started off the month on about 12.18, ended where we are now on the 23rd at 15.21. So you can see, I think a lot of the catalyst was actually the merger and news about that going through. I mean, it's not actually gone through yet, but when it does, I think that will have a lot of people hyping up the stock, and as it does come closer to going through, it will also hype up the stock. Maybe not as much as it would have before Nikola scam happened, because of course the Nikola thing set a lot of people apprehensive to a lot of vehicle manufacturers. However, the thing about Chargepoint is, and yes, I know it's an electric vehicle charging company, the thing that separates them between other companies like Nikola and even Lordstown Motors, I'm not saying that Lordstown is a scam, but at least, SBE and ChargePoint will actually have stations already on the street. If you just have a look on Google Maps, you can see around your city, probably around my city for definite, there are SBE and ChargePoint chargers all over. So I think that is going to actually help drive the stock up in the next 14 days, just because they actually have a product on site. Right, so let's have a look out to the 6 month, and again, that news really has kind of influenced it. So we're looking at an increase of about 47%, just under, and you can see how that one's really started off. So it's basically been a short, sharp rise all the way up to about 15.21. From there, we did actually start to sit flat a little bit of an increase from that price all the way up to, let's say, 16.09, and then we did actually see a small sell-off in the last few days. So of course, that's just what's happened. And if you don't know what ChargePoint is, I'm just about to explain why this could potentially increase the share price once that merger does go through. So of course, it's an electric vehicle charging brand. They can charge basically all kinds of electric vehicles. You can charge vans, lorries, trucks, cars, any kind of vehicle, you can basically charge it. Now, I think that there are many ways which you can get these chargers. You can get them in your business. I think a lot of companies and institutions have started putting them in their car parks, which is very convenient for people who drive electric cars. Just go to work, go to the mall, if you will, or whatnot, and just plug in your car, and it will be charged by the time you come out. Very cool feature to have right there. And yeah, on top of that, they actually have provided 83.6 million chargers plus so far. So if you wanted to know if it's legit, of course, the chargers are basically there to prove it. And of course, they are trying to expand the brand. I think it is 50 times in the next 5 years. So apparently 50 times more chargers on streets in the next 5 years. I think that's a very ambitious goal, but it's not necessarily undoable. So I would like to see that one come true, and I hope that it does. So, of course, that could also influence the price if the merger does go through. That's the most important thing. The merger, I don't think it has actually been voted upon yet, but if that merger does go through, it could have huge effects on the company's share price when it does. So we'll just have to see when that does go through, and that will also increase a lot of things. One also important thing to consider is actually the election in the US. Now, of course, the election is kind of a volatile time for all stocks, and I think that this is going to be no exception. We might see a small increase on this this stock in the next week or so, 2 weeks, but it's just hard to say. But I think I would like to see that. I am personally bullish on this one for when it does go public. So a little bit of news around what's happening now, and then a slight prediction into what might happen in the future, coming from Investor Place. So that's investorplace.com. And the article is basically stating how the numbers show that SBE stock is massively undervalued. So of course it's apparently worth 56% more than what it is at now. And the reason why I've gone with this article is simply because it's hard to find any analysts talking about this stock at the minute. So that's why I've just decided to come here. So basically they're talking about how the stock has gone to $15 from around $10 when it went public. And they're basically saying how this stock is going to be huge for some of the reasons which I've talked about in this video and in previous videos. The electric car market is of course a huge and growing market, and of course as more electric cars do come out, they will need to be charged, and that's where a company like this comes in, because yes, Tesla may have their own electric chargers, but that's just kind of inconvenient if you drive, say, a Toyota, and if all cars can plug into one system, it's just very convenient, and that's where a company like Chargepoint can come in and have a third party, influence and basically charge vehicles that way. So if you look here on the street, we can see that there's basically a Chargepoint charger just casually there, and people are plugging in their electric cars, and that's just the way it's going to be with these chargers. They're very convenient, and that is why I think that they will work. Anyway, so that's just one article talking about why the stock may explode in the future, and here is another article looking at 3 catalysts. Okay, so let's just analyze the 3 catalysts and talk about why this is important for the future. So I'm not going to go too much into each subcategory, but one of the factors is basically the fact that EV sales are expected to jump. Now, of course, if you live in Europe, you will already know this. So we can see in Europe, the picture is even rosier, as the EU has basically mandated a 40% reduction of carbon emissions by 2030. So the intention is to basically increase the amount of EVs sold by that year. And I think all cars are supposed to be electric by that time, and the influence that will have is obviously great, because everybody in Europe will be buying an electric car and they will all need charging. So electric vehicles are expected to jump in Europe for definite, and also in the US and in all markets really, as people do become more adapted to that. So of course Tesla's competition will subsequently intensify as a lot of other big brands do come onto the technologies of electricity. Now I talked about this in Tesla video tonight, but what I was talking about is just the fact that if you were rich, or if you wanted to get a sports car or a luxury car, and you could get a Rolls Royce that's electric, or you could get like a McLaren that's electric, or you could get a Tesla that's electric. I'm sure the status of those other 2 brands may influence you to buy them, and subsequently the competition for Tesla will intensify in the next few years. We already know this, and we can understand why. Of course, with more choice becomes more freedom and the right to buy different vehicles. So that's just one of the reasons why competition will intensify. Right, so another thing is actually technology improvements. So I think it was Tesla actually that have just introduced a new battery technology. And of course, as batteries just become better and better, of course, a lot more people will be more confident to go and buy electric vehicles. On top of this, electric vehicle charging technology will get better, and this is going to come from companies like Chargepoint and whatnot, and what this will result in is more people being less apprehensive to go and buy electric cars, because at the minute, even from my standpoint, now I'm neither way, I don't really mind about electric cars, and I don't really care either way, but it is obvious to say that it is more inconvenient to drive an electric car than it is to drive a petrol or a diesel. You go to a petrol station and you fill up a petrol or a diesel, it takes 2 or 3 minutes to fill up the car. You go to an electric station, you need to charge up the car, and it takes as long as it might take to charge up a phone, and even then it might not be fully charged. Some of the electric cars actually need to be charged overnight, and you can understand how this is going to be inconvenient, but as charging technology becomes better, again, much more of an incentive to buy an electric car. So I'm sorry that I ranted so much about this one, but let's just have a quick look in the future. So we're looking at annual revenue of 2 billion by 2025. I mean, while that's quite the goal, and it's probably going to happen, like I said, due to the fact that more people are buying electric cars, simply in my opinion. So what do you guys think to this stock? I personally think that it's probably going to go up in the next 14 days, but you can always come and tell me your opinions on Discord. Link is in the description. Whilst you're here, if you also want to click on the next video, that's completely up to you. We have loads of videos where we analyze loads of stocks. We do it every single day again, so that's one more reason to subscribe. Thank you for your time. Goodbye for now.